This is Marcus K. Dowling, the Nashville country music reporter at the Tennessean, and I'm here at the #1 party for One Mississippi with the one and only Kane Brown. How's it going, man?
It's going good.
Wonderful. So we have an album coming, and you're also now very heavily into the publishing industry. You're kind of an entrepreneur now. Thoughts about that?
Man, it's just fun, just doing something other. I mean, I'm still doing music with it, but it's just fun to reach out and help other people, like Levon, and it's just really, really cool.
Yeah, Verse 2 Publishing. So as far as that side of it, when did you realize that that was something that you needed to do? Because I feel like that wasn't something that was a thing that you just kind of thought about one day, but I think it's something that you knew that you had to do as an artist to be able to grow.
Yeah, well, this is going to sound weird, but I've always felt like I was kind of like a good A&R on just finding people, not only that work good together, but also finding people who had talent, like artist-wise, or that could write or anything like that. So instead of taking them to other people around Nashville, I was like, I might as well just try and do it on my own and sign them, and so far, so good.
Yeah, so we're going to get Levon in here in a second, but if you could take me into the moment, because people hit you up on Instagram, I'm sure, all the time, with songs and ideas and thoughts and beliefs and whatever. But what about Levon's reach to you, spoke to you, and made you want to pull him in for One Mississippi?
Just listening to him, I heard him singing the song he tagged me in. He had a great voice. So then I just went and checked him out, saw some songs that he was singing that he had also wrote. He was doing I can't ever say that word. He was dancing, and
choreography.
Yeah, choreography, and he just had it. So I was like, we're gonna try this guy out. So when we brought him to Nashville, he brought the title One Mississippi. It was kind of like his audition to join, and now it's the #1.
Yeah, so when you pull in somebody like ERNEST, who also is an artist, like yourself, and I feel like there's a lot of people in town right now who are equally as strong as singers and songwriters. Mm-hmm. So thoughts about that process, being able to, pull everybody in together in that manner?
Yeah, well, ERNEST is a beast, and he's showing it right now, just from what he's doing, all the songs that he's getting cut right now, and when he comes into a room and sits down behind a guitar, something's about to go down. So it's just cool to have people who know my sound and can make me sound different than other people, of the other artists, and I think we really have something going.
Yeah. Take me into thoughts about country music, because I feel like you now are pulling all the way across the gamut from the Randy Travis type traditional stuff to pop top 40 as well, and everything in between. So thoughts about that and just continuing to expand on both sides of that and how that's going for you.
Yeah. Well, the pop stuff, I've been working on my album right now, so we've been trying to go as country as I could. Even with my new single, Like I Love Country Music, and Whiskey Sour and Leave You Alone and One Mississippi. They're all very rooted country songs. So I haven't really been working on any pop songs. I do have 3 that I've just been holding on. But pop's different, because even when I release songs over to pop, they say he sounds country. So it gets a little weird. So I have to find the right songs that make sense and that they're gonna like.
So I saw Randy Travis at the Country Music Hall of Fame induction last night, and he mentioned you specifically to me.
Oh, nice.
Because I think he's heard Whiskey Sour.
Oh, for real.
And I think that he feels that that's very comparable to the 3 Wooden Crosses cover you did. So thoughts about that, and being at a point in your career where that feels like a really important comparison at this point.
Well, I'm a huge Randy Travis fan. I love anything he does. Good friends now. He came to my show in Dallas, and for him to like anything that I do, man, it just means the world to me. So I'm glad that he mentioned my name.
So when did you become aware of Kane Brown as an artist, and what about him stood out?
It had to be about 2016, 2017. Of course, the first thing that stuck out was that he was brown. Mm-hmm. And one of my best friends is a female. She actually was like, hey, there's this guy you need to listen to. Like, I know that you used to write country music, and you stopped. It was like, but this might make you want to write it some more. And I think the first one I heard was What Ifs, and then I heard Heaven. And this was they used to play him all the time at this bar that I used to play at in Mobile. And they would play his videos. I was like, every time I see him, I'm like, I always thought, I was like, one day I'm going to get a chance to work with this guy somehow. I'm like, I don't know how it's going to happen. But I would think that from time to time. I was like, you know, I'm going to reach out one day. One day he's going to know who I am somehow, and then he's going to want to work with me. And I never thought it would happen like this. But, you know, literally a friend told me about him, and that's how I came across his music.
So Kane, in relation, there's a whole generation of artists, I feel like right now, who look at you as the template for what it can be for them in country music. Thoughts about that? Because you're at a place where you're, what, 8, 9 years in now, coming into a decade as a mainstream artist? Yeah. So you're at a place now where, you know, you've reached a certain level, and now people are looking at you and going, if I could do what he does, then I'm doing something okay.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think it goes for anybody trying to be an artist. A lot of people, you know, I feel like they try and be somebody else, but you just got to be you. You got to do what you want to do. You can't let anybody say this or that or believe them. You got to believe in yourself. And especially now, if you're talking about like for colored artists, there's so many out there right now. Doors are just getting knocked down, and like country music's being welcoming.
Yeah.
So now's your chance.
Yeah, so again, like when you came into the room, everybody says that they were really impressed with the fact that you had the title, you had kind of like a general sketch. So like when you first came up with One Mississippi, was it with an artist like him in mind, or was it with yourself? Or if you could take me into that?
Yeah, it was with him in mind, because he said come up with some titles and some ideas, and he's like, hey man, a number one could change your life, so be thinking of something, you know, out the box. And that was literally the first idea I came up with. And like I said, it was originally a much darker type of idea, and we got it in the room with ERNEST and Jesse and everybody, and they like, let's do it more like this. And I'm just glad that it meant something to anybody, you know.
Right. So when you're working with a younger songwriter or somebody who doesn't necessarily have that like certain Nashville experience, thoughts about pulling them in and how how you hone that song into something that is, you know, workable and, you know, like has the potential to be a number one hit.
Yeah. Well, I told you I'd already looked at all his stuff, and he could sing, and he was already writing his own music. So I knew that once he got in the room, especially with somebody like Jesse, this was his 20th number one. And then ERNEST, like I told you, he's killing it. Plus myself. Once he came in the room, it was going to be a piece of cake. I just wanted to see what he was going to bring to the table. And he said One Mississippi. We ran with it, and when Jesse got behind it, we just knew right then it was huge. So.
Right. So again, I asked the guys earlier, but I want to ask you about the hook, because I feel like that's the big thing that everybody, you know, kind of like goes crazy with this song. When you heard it, did that crystallize it for you? Like, this is going to be something.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's always playing it back. You know, when I listen to songs that immediately, if you're a writer, when you leave the room, you think you got a smash. But if you can keep listening to it and not pick it apart or show it to other people, of course, and see their reaction, that's when you know you have something. And after I kept listening to it 20, 25 times, I noticed myself, like, driving in the car, I'd start going faster and faster. So I was like, there's something here, you know what I mean? And when the label heard it, they were like, or the radio heard it, they were like, this has got to be your next single. So when the radio gets excited about it, you definitely got to get excited about it.
Yeah. So thoughts about when verse 2 happened and you end up getting signed, and just the thought now of being like a signed songwriter in Nashville in 2022 when country is breaking down the doors and really making a lot of big moves.
I'm just blessed to be a part of it. Like I said, if I never get another cut on this man, can't nobody tell me about him. Nothing about him. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate it. I was working at a gas station when I messaged him on Instagram. So to have somebody like me that's been through the things I've been through, I'm just glad to be even close to the table. You know what I'm saying? And what a better time to be here than now. And I'm grateful.
So as far as having somebody like Levon set the standard for what you're doing with verse 2, and also just across your, you know, myriad of business industries now that you're, you know, like branching into, thoughts about that and just kind of like setting a standard for yourself in this frame of your career?
Well, for me, Levon is the first person that I signed personally. You know, we had Josh Hogue that I'd worked with for many years first. But he was also, talking with Ken Earls. Him and Ken are really close. So Levon was the first person that I actually brought in. He's the first #1 of the new publishing label. So honestly, the standards are high. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we got to keep moving.
Fantastic. So thank you so much, and thank you. Been Marcus Dowling, the Nashville country music reporter here at the Kane Brown #1 party for One Mississippi.